Hi students, good morning to everybody. And now I am going to take poem 8, The Trees, written by Adrian Rich. And Adrian Rich, she was born on 1929 in Baltimore. She was a poet, essayist and feminist. She was one of the America's foremost public intellectuals. Her works include A Change of World, Snapshots of a Daughter-in-Law, Necessities of Life. She received Bowling Prize and the Lannan Lifetime Achievement Award. She died on 2012. And now I am going to give little intro about the poem. The poem The Trees is a nature poem describing and appreciating the advantages of trees. Trees are the source of life, as humans are dependent on the trees for their survival. And the summary: the poet in the poem portrays a desire for the future, when forests will be full of trees. The poem shows the movement of trees from the poet's house. They seek to go to the forest, which is their natural place. Throughout the night, the roots disengage themselves to shift towards the forest. The trees are given the image of patients who long for their freedom. The poet says that she remains busy in her writing and hence ignores the movement of the trees. Everything seems to be favor the trees to move towards forest. The wind, the moon, all rush to meet these trees. The title, The Trees, is the most appropriate title given by the poet, as the entire poem portrays the shifting of the trees from the poet's house to the forest. Now I am going to read the stanza 1. The trees inside are moving out into the forest. The forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. And the speaker, that is the poet of the poem, observes that the trees in his house are moving outside into the forest, the forest has been empty for a long time. It is very important to understand that trees are actually not moving, but it is used as an imagery by the poet to show the destroyed forest and the false nature that humans have tried up to keep in their houses. Since the forest was empty outside, no birds could sit on the branch of the trees, no insect could hide in the trees, and the sunlight could never disappear under the shadow of the trees. The speaker feels that the empty forest will be full of trees by the next morning. Stanza 2. All nights the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain towards the glass. Small twigs drift with exertion. Long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof. Like newly discharged patients, half dust moving to the clinic doors. It seems like the trees work silently in the night in order to complete their work, that is, getting free from the boundaries of the houses. Therefore, they work all night to free themselves through the cracks on the veranda floor. The leaves of the trees try it very hard, and it put a lot of pressure on the glass so that they could break the glass and come out. The small ticks have become very hard due to applying so much pressure to free themselves. The larger branches of the trees that have shrunk because of being inside the walls and under the roof, where they cannot grow much. If they are in forest, they can grow well. They try to move slowly from there and look like newly discharged patients from a hospital who become half-shocked on coming to the outside world. Stanza 3. I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The night is fresh. The whole moon shines in a sky still open. The smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice in the rooms. The poet, who could be the poet herself, sits in her house, the doors of which open to the veranda. She is writing long letters. She hardly mentioned in her letters about the trees that are moving out to the empty forest. The poet presents a conflict between a man and the nature. Man uses plants for interior decoration, cut trees to make houses for himself. They cut trees to have furniture, door, windows, etc. Through these lines, the poet is indicating towards a possible fight by nature against man, as they work very hard to go outside the house into the open field. They want to be under the full moonlight, where the moon is shining in the open sky and the night is very fresh and pleasant. The poet can smell the leaves and lichens coming from the trees that can reach your room like a voice of a human being. My head is full of whispers, which tomorrow will be silent. Listen, the glass is breaking, the trees are stumbling forward into the night. Winds rush to meet them. The moon is broken like a mirror. Its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak tree. The speaker listens to the sounds coming from the leaves and the lichens of the trees. These sounds will not be there in the morning, because the trees by the night they move towards the forest. It will not be in the house by morning. Now the speaker can hear the glass breaking due to the efforts of the twigs of the trees. As the glass breaks, the trees hurries outside and doing so, they fall on each other and they get stuck at different places. As the trees go in the open field, it seems like the wind is moving fast towards them to meet the trees. The tall trees can finally stand straight as they are free. So they are so tall that they have broken the moon into pieces like a broken mirror. The moon now sits like the crowns on the heads of the tall oak trees. Again, the use of moon is an imagery to show that between the ground and the sky stand the trees, and one can only look at parts of the moon and not the full moon from under the trees. The poetic device used in the poem are simile. What is the meaning of simile? When comparison is made between two words using like or as. Like, for example, in this poem, like newly discharged patients, still reaches like a voice into the rooms. The moon is broken like a mirror. An imagery used in the poem. Imagery means to use figurative language to represent objects, actions and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical senses. For example, its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. Now I am going to tell you the meaning of the new words. Disengage, separate, or we can call it as get free. Strain, make efforts to move. Otherwise we can say make a lot of effort. Bow, branch, large branches of a tree. Shuffling, moving repeatedly from one position to another. Or we can say slowly drying motion without lifting feet and changing place. Lichen, bushy growth on the tree trunks. It may be like a fungus or algae. Some plants will grow. It will be attached to the plant. We can see. And veranda, the space right outside the house but attached to it. Exertion, it means pressure. Stiff, hard. Twigs, the topmost part of the branches is called twigs. Half dazed, half asleep or half shocked. Now, once again, I am going to tell you the theme of the poem. The poem gives importance in the natural laws which are essential for our well-being and healthy lives. The message we get from this poem is the desire for freedom through the wish of a trees to move towards the forest is reflected in the poem. The poet conveys that there can't be a forest without trees. This poem awakens us and makes us think deeply about the conservation of trees. And students, I have to give a notice. That is, you have to start writing a class work. I have attached a video how to write a class work also. So I will be sending the photos or the PDF of the lessons what you have to copy. So please write neatly and submit it on the given particular time. Thank you, children. Have a nice day. Thank you.